I did some math and I said, wait a minute, I have this list of things I want to try. There's more things than there are months in my predictable lifespan. And that doesn't even allow me to test two things at the same time. Like, oh my goodness, what would happen if you took vitamin C, and glycine? Because your collagen is made of vitamin C and glycine and proline. You might need to take all three to influence the formation of that. So I was only going to test one thing at a time, and then the factorial to get to two, and then three, and then four. It will take you many, many human lifetimes to test the supplements that are available in all of their possible combinations.
Yeah, I want to kind of open up a huge can of worms, which we're all fans of, which is stacking. And I think we have a lot of common visions and philosophies, Dave. It's one of the reasons we've built a good relationship. And you're a huge fan of stacking things. They're kind of forced you to get rid of all the stuff. But ultimately, personally, what you do from a supplement perspective, from a technology perspective, is you stack. And Wade and I, coming from the bodybuilding realm, we've been stacking things since we're teenagers. I'd love for you to talk about that, because one of the things you do talk about, I've heard you mention, is that science does experiments and they study one thing and the effect of that one thing, but they rarely talk about stacks. And I think it's a huge part of your overall approach to things, which is awesome.
My approach to managing what's going on inside my body is what became biohacking. And I was a computer hacker. I actually worked for Trend Micro, one of the largest computer security companies in the world, as a VP of security, and spent a lot of time even teaching at the University of California in that field. And the idea there is somehow I'm going to learn how to take control of the system, but I don't know what's inside there. I can't know, but I need to influence it. I'm going to either break it or break into it or make it do what I want. I'm going to own it. And well, that's exactly what's going on in our bodies. We don't know what's going on inside our bodies at many different levels. We know more than we ever have in all of human history, but we have this little problem where, okay, the fact that we know doesn't mean that, or that we think we know doesn't mean that we're going to be able to hack it. So what we've done, especially as a result of pharmaceutical companies, is we say there must be one thing. So I'm going to test this one intervention, right? And I'm going to see what it does. Now, let's take living a long time as an example. This is one of my favorite ones. Okay. I'm going to test, let's say that you're your car now, all right? I want my car to last for a very long time. So for this batch of cars, I'm going to test changing the oil frequently, okay? And for this next batch of cars, I'm going to test changing the transmission fluid. And for this next, and what you're going to find is that no car can go longer than 100,000 miles because they always tend to break. Oh, that's because you weren't changing the tires, you dumbasses, right? You have to do more than one thing for preventative maintenance. And we all know this, right? How do you keep your house clean? Do you just test scrubbing the toilets and leave everything else alone? No, you have to do all the things that are necessary at the same time or on the right schedule. Yet when it comes to health and all, well, I tested this one thing all by itself and it didn't work. I'm like, is this a surprise? If you're gonna, say, herd a bunch of sheep, do you just push on one sheep? No, you have dogs on the edges and you have horses and you have a system that you're pushing and managing. What that means is it's a stack, right? So when I started out, okay, I'm 300 pounds, I'm tired all the time, my brain barely works. I think I'll test some vitamin C, right? And it actually helped a little bit. But then I said, okay, I'm going to be scientific about this. I'm going to take vitamin C for a month, and then I'm going to stop taking it and I'll start taking something else. And then I'll stop taking that and I'll start taking something else, because I only want to know what works. Because I'm afraid, that first F word, I'm afraid I might do something that didn't work. That would be terrible, because then I will have failed. But I did some math and I said, wait a minute, I have this list of things I want to try. There's more things than there are months in my predictable lifespan. And that doesn't even allow me to test two things at the same time. Like, oh my goodness, what would happen if you took vitamin C, Oh, and glycine, because your collagen is made out of vitamin C and glycine and proline. You might need to take all three to influence the formation of that. So I was only going to test one thing at a time, and then the factorial to get to 2, and then 3, and then 4. It will take you many, many human lifetimes to test the supplements that are available in all of their possible combinations. So what a sane person who cares about results is going to do is they're going to say, could I just do everything that I can afford that doesn't seem to obviously contradict itself at one time and see what the results are? And if the results are, wow, I lost 10 pounds, my brain works again, I feel great, and my joints don't hurt, you won. And you know what? You might have the world's most expensive pee because you took something you didn't need. Who cares? You won. You got the results, right? And it's that caring about results more than caring about being right or being perfect is the difference between a biohacker and someone trying to tease out what this one thing works. The assumption behind my work is that how you feel matters most. And that drives how I formulate my products, how I make my food, my cookbook, my diets, my meditation practice, all of that stuff. That's the most precious thing. What matters most in a research setting like this is actually truth. And so they're going to say, my assumption is that one thing must be effective. So I'm going to use my assumption and establish a truth based on an assumption that is provably false. So until the assumption that it's a single variable problem in your biology is just resolved, and they're saying, we don't really know this, you're going to continue to see people saying this supplement doesn't work. I'm like, what? Obviously doesn't work. Right? Just like changing the oil in your car doesn't work because the car keeps breaking. Like, it's just not systems thinking. And the realms of system biology and AI are changing rapidly. And you have people like our friends at Viome, where they have a chief translational medical officer. And that's a whole new position, but that's because we're starting to realize when it comes to getting results, you look at the system. And when it comes to, bowing down at the altar of science, the dogmatic science that says if it doesn't agree with what the consensus is, it's not real science. I'm sorry, science doesn't take a consensus. So when it comes to biohacking, you do your stack. And you do your stack because it's the one that's most likely to work. And let's say you're looking at fat metabolism. You could test acetyl L-carnitine. Say, is this going to help? Probably, right? And you could also separately test lipase, right, which helps you to digest fat. Is it going to help? Probably. But the synergistic combination of the two is mechanistically more likely to be beneficial. And that's the kind of stuff you guys are doing in Capex. Like, what are all the things that are going to help you metabolize fat so you can absorb it and you can use it for energy? What are the things that are going to be the speed bumps and the roadblocks and the inhibited parts, and how do we get you enough nutrients to get past those? That's a stack that's designed to get a result rather than designed to prove that one thing is better than another.